Hi everyone, this is Heather. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm doing something a little different. I decided to take my card inspiration today from a challenge blog. So I used to participate a lot in challenges over on the Lawn Fawnatics blog because I love Lawn Fawn stamps. They're one of my favorite companies and I have a whole lot of their stamps. And I hadn't really done that for a while and I thought that might be a fun thing to do. So the current challenge is to use a sketch that they had up, and basically it was just like a die cut circle with some text underneath. It was pretty open to interpretation, so I thought it would be kind of fun to do a cloud and rainbow scene, and I'm going to show you how to make your own die cut rainbow. I did not have a die cut set that made a rainbow, so I thought there's got to be a way I can make one of those, and also how to do like a fun ombre effect on the banner. So here's the card that we're going to be making. And I'm using 3 different sets from Lawn Fawn. I am using Critters Ever After. We're using the unicorn from that. I'm also using the Bannerific set, and I'm using one of the birds and one of the banners from that set. And then I'm also using Critters and the Birds. And I'm using actually the tree because I did not have a big fluffy cloud stamp, so I thought the top of the tree would make the perfect cloud. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And so you're going to need a blue card base, and this is just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock cut and scored and folded in half. And then the pattern papers that I'm using are from the new Gotta Have Gingham 12 by 12 inch petite paper pack from Lawn Fawn. I recently picked this up and it's got some, I love plaids and ginghams, so really liked this paper set. And I'm going to be using one of the blues and one of the yellows from that. So the blue pattern paper has been cut down to 5 1/4 by 4. And then also just some cardstocks to make your rainbow with. So let's go ahead and get some stamping started. And just to save time, I've gone ahead and stamped out the banner, the bird, and the unicorn using Memento ink on 110-pound cardstock weight. I like to use a heavier weight. And now I want to use the treetop for my cloud. So I'm going to show you how I did that. You just want to ink up just the top of the tree. You can get a little bit of the trunk of the tree, that's fine. Just make sure you're getting a good amount of ink just on the top fluffy part of the tree. And stamp that on your paper. And now I'm going to take a pen, and I have found that this Le Pen permanent marker from Marvy is the perfect size for most of my stamped images. It's the right, the tip is the right width, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So when you fill in, it's very similar to the width of a lot of stamps. So I'm just taking that pen and just filling in where the branch and the tree tops go together, and then we're just going to cut off the bottom of the tree. So that's a really neat way to get a little bit more from your stamps by just filling that in. So now I'm going to color my images. And I'm using alcohol-based markers. I'm using a blender pen and TB1 from Spectrum Noir. And from Stampin' Up, I am using Light Smoky Slate, Light and Dark of Rich Razzleberry, and Light and Dark of Daffodil Delight. So the first thing we're going to do is I just want to do a little outline for the unicorn because I want him to be white, but I want him to have a little bit of depth to it. So I'm just tracing with this gray marker just kind of on the inside of those stamped lines. And it just adds a little bit more depth and shading. He still looks like a white unicorn, but now you've got a little bit more dimension on that. So you can add as much or as little as you would like of that gray. And I used the fine point tip on that. And then for the mane and the bird, I used the light and dark yellows. So I filled in his mane and tail with the light and did the same with the bird. And then just took the darker shade and added a little shading and shadow to it. So just coloring all of those in the light and then just adding a little bit of shadow with that darker color. So under the body there, around the wings. And you can leave it like that, or if you want it blended in a little bit better, you can go back over with the lighter shade of yellow and just blend those in, and that just gives you a little bit more depth and dimension. And next I'm going to do the same on the cloud that I did for the unicorn, and I'm just going to go around it with the blue marker just inside those stamp lines. And now I want to add a little bit of color to the unicorn's horn and feet. So I'm just going to add with the yellow, do one hoof and one stripe on the horn in the yellow. And then with the same blue that we just did on the clouds, I'm going to do 2 hooves and 2 sections of the horn. And then when this raspberry kind of purple color, I'm going to do the rest of the horn and the remaining hoof. So now for the banner, I'm going to show you how I got that kind of gradiated ombre effect. So I've got 2 shades of markers and a blender pen. So I'm going to take the lighter of the rich raspberry and just a little ways down from the top of the banner, I'm going to add a couple of stripes of color, and I like using the brush marker for this part. And then the same on those little tails there. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to kind of, you know, blend down into an ombre effect anyway. And then down across the bottom, just fill in underneath. Just go underneath that lighter color, leaving a little bit of white. So it looks like that. And now I'm taking a blender pen, and this one happens to be from Spectrum Noir, so it has a broad chisel point to it, which I really like for this technique. I'm going to turn the paper just a little bit. I'm a lefty, so I'm going at it from this other side. So I'm taking the broad chisel point, and I'm going over those colors, and it will begin to lighten all the way down, and especially where they meet each other in the center. I really kind of want to blend those 2 colors together. And it'll pull a little bit of that lighter color up into the white space, which is what you want. So just keep going over it with the blender pen until you're pretty happy with the way that gradation of color looks. So you've got that kind of nice faded ombre effect. So now I'm going to add the words, and you can do the words first or after, because it's Memento ink. It's not going to you know, react with the blender pen. So you can do either stamp your words first or after. So I'm taking some repositionable tape. You could take just a little bit of washi tape, because the sentiment that I'm using says, "May all your dreams come true," and I wanted to separate those out on the card. So we're going to be stamping the dreams come true part. So I'm just taking some tape and covering up the area that says "May all your." I'm going to ink up the right side of the stamp. So this is very important. Now you want to be sure to remove that tape before you stamp. Ask me how I know, because I've done it many times and messed it up. So now we're going to center the words on our banner like that. And now I'm going to pull my blue paper over. I'm going to take my nice stamp chamois. If you do not have a stamp chamois, this is the nicest cleaner. As you can see, they get really grungy and really dirty. These are from Lawn Fawn, but they are really awesome to clean your stamps. You just get it wet. I keep mine in a Tupperware container, so it'll stay wet for a while, and you just dampen it when you're ready to use it again. So now I'm going to be masking off the dreams part. So I want to ink up the May All Your, again with the Memento ink. Again, remembering to remove that tape before we stamp. And in the upper left-hand corner of my paper, pattern paper, I want to stamp out those words. So that's just a nice way to mask off and get a little bit more from your sentiments. And now I'm going to grab my pen again and add just a couple of little dots afterwards, just so we can get that may all your dreams come true. So now we're going to die cut the circle from the pattern paper. So I am using stitched shapes. These happen to be from Stampin' Up. This is one of their stitched circle dies. This is the largest of the set. And I'm going to place that circle on my pattern paper where I would like it. And I'm going to tape it in place. And I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. Okay, so I have run my circle and my pattern paper through the die cut machine, so I have a nice opening, and you can just save this piece for another project. And then I've gone ahead of time and done the same thing with a piece of the yellow gingham paper with the same circle die so that they fit together. And then also ahead of time, I have die cut some oval shapes. So I'm going to show you how to put together your own rainbow using oval die shapes. So again, I'm using the ones from Stampin' Up that have a faux stitching on it, but you could use just, just regular oval. You just want concentric stacking oval shapes. So I die cut from the largest size, I die cut a blue. From the next size down, purple. Next size down, yellow. And I do also need that smallest die. So I've done all of the die cutting ahead of time. And we're just going to stack these on top of each other. I'm just going to use my regular tape runner. And you don't want to put too much tape down because you are going to be die cutting through all these layers. And I'm only doing it on the top section because that's all I need right now. So I'm putting the purple on top of the blue, and then I put the yellow on top of that, and I am centering those all on top of each other. And I've got the smallest of the stitched ovals, and I've got a little piece of repositionable tape on there, like I said, washi tape, blue tape, anything that you'd like. And now I am going to center that oval on top of the yellow oval and run that through my die cut machine. Okay, so I have run this through my die cut machine, and I cranked it backwards and forwards several times to hopefully make sure that it goes all the way through. So you can lift it up, and as you can see, mine did go all the way through. If it doesn't, you can remove, say, like the yellow and the purple layer, put your die back down with the tape and run it through again to get that last piece. But I'm using a Sizzix Big Shot. It's pretty strong, and it actually cut through all those layers. So we're going to set that aside. So now I'm going to grab my paper trimmer, make some room here, and I'm going to cut this a little bit more than in half. It really depends on how large you want your rainbow to be. So I'm just gonna lay that down in there. And the bottom of the rainbow is going to be covered. So if you wanted to use scissors, or if your cut wasn't very straight, that's okay, because we're gonna cover it up anyway. So here is our finished custom die cut rainbow. Isn't that easy? So now I'm going to cut out all my images. I don't have any of the dies for these, so I'm just gonna cut them out by hand. And on the unicorn, the bird, and the banner, I'm going to leave a little bit of white space. But on this tree, because I don't want those stems to show, or the trunk to show on the bottom, I'm gonna actually follow the stamp line and cut right along that line and cut away the trunk on the bottom. So I'm gonna cut these out and I'll be right back. So I have cut out all of my stamped images, and I have flipped over my blue pattern paper that I stamped the sentiment and cut the circle out of, and I have put loads of foam tape on the back, and I have the wider tape, so I just took my scissors and just cut it into thinner strips. It doesn't have to be pretty, but you just want to make sure that the pattern paper is not gonna bow in on you. So you're just gonna take off all the backing paper and put that on the front of your card. So I'm going to line up the pattern paper on top of my card base. Smooth that down. And then I've put adhesive on all of my other bits and pieces. So on this piece of the yellow, I've just put regular adhesive on the back with my tape runner. And I'm just going to adhere that inside. Next, I've got my rainbow, and on the left side has regular adhesive and the right side has foam adhesive, so that everything will kind of be the same level. So kind of figure out where you want your rainbow to go. And then I've done the same thing on the cloud. The left side has regular adhesive, this right side has a little foam adhesive on it. And I'm going to be putting that down at the bottom of my rainbow. And my unicorn just has foam adhesive, so he's kind of popped up. Stick him there. And then I've got foam adhesive on my banner. We're gonna make sure that we're covering up the bottom of the circle and the bottom of the rainbow. And when I first made this, this is how the card looked, but it was a little kind of heavy down to the left, so I decided to stamp out one of the little birds from the banner set, Bannerific. And there's our fun unicorn card. So we made our own rainbow using die cuts and used some of our alcohol-based markers to do an ombre effect on the banner. I think this makes a really fun birthday card for really anybody. I think unicorns are so popular right now, so I think anybody would love to get a fun unicorn card. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and please check out my channel and think about subscribing. I would really appreciate it. I will put a link in the description box down below to the Lawn Fawnatics challenge that I got the inspiration for this, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for joining me. This is Heather. Bye.